So in the previous lecture, we installed web servers, and then we created custom websites, and then we hosted those websites on those web servers. So we installed Apache 2 and we installed Nginx web servers, and we saw that how they work. But when you work with websites, you have to work with databases as well, because on those websites you're gonna have to enter some information, and that information will be saved somewhere. So to save that information, whenever you create a website, you have to create a database as well. So when we talk about creating databases, there are multiple options that we can look into. We have MySQL database, we have MariaDB, we have so many other options that we can utilize based on our requirements. So in this lecture, we are going to be setting up MariaDB database, and we'll install it, configure it, we will authenticate it, we will make it secure, and then we will create a database, and we will create users as well. So let's just go ahead and see that how we can do all that. So before doing anything, just like always, don't forget to update your Ubuntu. So just write sudo apt update, but obviously it's not gonna update too much because we have done this so many times by now. I'll just go ahead and enter this password here, and in a couple of seconds the system will be updated. So I think I have made some mistake with my password. I'll just re-enter it, and yeah, your update is just initiated, and it will just take a couple of seconds. Okay, so now that we have updated everything, we'll just go ahead and clear this terminal. And now it's time to install MariaDB, and the way we will install it, we will install its server and we will install its client, right? So to do that, just go ahead to this second command. I'll just copy this command, and I'll just paste it here. Oh, so there's a mistake with this install keyword. I'll just make the spellings correct, and I'll hit enter, and of course it's gonna download the package, and then it will install it. I'll just hit Y and then enter. So basically it's not a very huge file, so it will be downloading very quickly, and after being downloaded, it will get installed automatically, just like we have installed so many packages by now in the previous lectures. So after installing it, you should know that MariaDB is present in the Ubuntu repositories. That is the reason it is installed with apt package manager, right? But you have to know that this is not the latest version of MariaDB, and if you want to get the latest version of MariaDB, then we will just go ahead to this third command. I'll just copy this, and we'll wait for this progress to be completed. I'll just fast forward the video here. Okay, so you can see that our MariaDB is installed, at least the initial step. Then we will just go ahead and paste this command, this third command, to get the latest version of MariaDB. I'll just hit enter, and again it will ask you to confirm. Type Y and then hit enter, and of course it's gonna take a couple of seconds. I'll again fast forward the video. Okay, so we should have the latest version of MariaDB now. Now the next step is to import the JPG keys for this database. Without it, the installation is not complete. So I'll just go ahead and copy this command, and I'll just paste it here, and I will hit enter. Okay, so now that we have imported JPG keys, we have to add MariaDB to our apt repository in our Ubuntu operating system. So to do that, we have this very simple command. I'll just again copy and paste this. I'll just copy it and then I will paste this command and I will hit enter, and it should add MariaDB to our Ubuntu repository in our computer. I'll just hit enter. Okay, so now that we have added MariaDB to our apt repository, now it's time to refresh our local repos and reinstall our MariaDB server and client. I'll just go ahead, copy and paste this command, and I will hit enter, and here you can see the processing is initiated. It will first update your Ubuntu, and then it just updated your MariaDB server and client. Now let's just see if our MariaDB version has been installed or not. I'll just copy this command and I will just paste this here. So here you can see, let me just clear this. Here you can see we have MariaDB version 15.1. So that means our MariaDB is installed in our Ubuntu successfully. Now let's just check the status that if this database is live or not. Just like in the case of Nginx or Apache, we checked their status and then we restarted them and stopped them whenever we need it, right? Just like that, we will just first see its status and we can start it and stop it based on our needs, right? So to check its status, just go ahead and copy this command. I'll just copy it and I will paste it here, right? So here you can see it's saying that your MariaDB is running. So in case it was not running, let's say it was inactive here, so in that case you will just run this command. You will just change this keyword from status to start, and your MariaDB service will get started. And suppose if you want to deactivate this MariaDB, then all you have to do is just change this word to stop, just like in the case of Apache and Nginx, right? So I'll just hit Control C to get outside. Okay, so in the next step, we can enable our MariaDB to start every time when we switch on our laptop. So you don't have to restart it every single time manually. So let's just do that, and I'll just copy this command. Again, you can see the status keyword is replaced by enable, right? So rest of the command is almost same. I'll just hit enter. Okay, so it has synchronized. Now whenever you will turn off your laptop and then you will switch on your laptop, the MariaDB will get activated automatically. Okay, so now it's time to we have started this database. So obviously databases are if you don't secure them, they have loopholes, they have those vulnerabilities that can be exploited. So to make them secure, all you can do is just go ahead and run this command, which says sudo MySQL secure installation. So I'll just go ahead, and now it's asking me if you want to set a password for your database. Of course, password is the most easiest way to make your things secure. So I'll just go ahead and set a password here. So it's telling me that do you want to switch to unique socket authentication or not. So but before that, it's also telling me you already have your root account protected. That means you can safely answer no, your system is already protected. I'll just follow its instructions and I will just hit enter. Okay, so I'll just write change the root password. No, I don't want that. Remove an anonymous users. Yes. Disallow root login remotely. Yes. Remote test dataset and access to it. Okay. Reload privilege tables now. Yes. Okay, so now your MariaDB is set. Now you can just log into your MariaDB as a root, and to do that you will simply just write copy and paste. So it's telling me that, okay, go to MariaDB and you want to log in. This is a user. U means user. User is root. So you want to log in as root, and then -p is password. If I'll just run this command, it's gonna ask me to enter the password. So I'll just enter the password which I set in the previous steps. I'll just write the password. Okay, so now you have entered in your MariaDB terminal. So your MariaDB is initiated, and now whatever you will write it will take it as a command. So you can create your databases, destroy them, see your databases, all the tasks that you can do with your database themselves, right? So everything will be written here. So let's say I want to create a user in my database, and then I want to give that user the administrator privileges. First of all, let's just create a user first. So for that, all we have to do is just write this command. I will copy this and I will paste this. Okay, so first of all, you should know that this says that create a user. Obviously, a user's name will be admin user, and we are creating this user on our local host. So if we were creating a let's say if we have a website online that is present on the internet, it's not written locally on your Nginx or on your Apache. Let's imagine that the website is online. So that means that website will have some kind of IP address, right? So in that case, that IP address will come here, right? But now because we are running this locally, so that means we are writing localhost instead of the IP address of the website. Okay, so we are saying that on this IP address, create this user and identify this user by this password. So you have to just change this password, write it whatever you want. In my case, I'll simply write 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 right 8, let's say, and I will just hit enter. So it told me that your query is okay. I have done that, right? So it's showing here zero rows affected because you have not changed any row of the database. You have just created a user. That is completely irrelevant. Okay, so the next step is to give this user administrator privileges, right? So to do that, just copy this command and just run it. And this part right here shows that this user will have every single privileges. This user can do anything, create a database, remove a database, create an entry in the database, remove it, do whatever you want. So this part actually shows this, and you can see that the command is grant all privileges on static to admin user that we just created. And where is this admin user? It is on this IP address, right? So we'll just go ahead and hit enter. Okay, so now we gave all the privileges to your admin user, and now it's time to apply these changes. And to do that, you can write flush privileges. So I'll just copy this command and I will just paste it. And okay, you should know that this command syntax, this method is MySQL language, right? So earlier when we were securing the MariaDB, you also might have noticed that we are actually executing MySQL secure installation, right? So I'll just go ahead and hit enter to apply all these changes that I have created. Okay, so now what we can do is we can simply just exit this database, and to exit we have a simple command exit. So now we have gotten outside of our database, and now it's time to test our MariaDB. Okay, so now let's just log into our MariaDB using that admin user that we just created, right? So to do that, we'll just go ahead and copy this command, and we will just paste it here. And when we will enter this command, it's going to ask us password, and this is the password what you wrote when you were setting your admin user, right? So this is, in this command you are setting your admin user and your password was this, right? So just go ahead and type this here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? I'll hit enter. So you have just logged in your MariaDB using admin privileges. Now this user, this admin user can do anything. It can create a database, it can remove a database, it can see all the users in that database, you know, and lots of other stuff that an administrator can do. Okay, so let's just see that how many databases do we have right now. Okay, first of all, you should know that because we have logged in successfully in our MariaDB, so that means our MariaDB, our Maria database is installed successfully and it is working absolutely fine. Now we're just going to play with this, just run a couple of different commands to see what are our databases, how many users are there, how can we create a database, right? So let's just go ahead and paste this and hit enter. So right now we have these databases, which are obviously built-in databases. They were already there, we did not create them. Let's just go ahead and create a database, right? So for that, all we have to do is just copy this command and then enter it. Okay, so as soon as we entered this command, it told us, okay, your query was applied and one row is affected because now we have created a database. Let's just go ahead and run this command and see that if our database has been created. So before it was 3 databases, four databases, right? But now we have 5 because we just created this test database, test underscore db. And here you can see in this row we have this test underscore db, and that is why it told us that one row is affected because before we had 4 rows and now we have 5 rows, right? Okay, so you can give this user, you can apply all these changes. I mean, you just created this database, right? Now after creating, you have to apply this change. So whenever you re-log into your MariaDB or start your MariaDB, this database stays here, right? So without restarting your MariaDB, you can just use flush privileges and it will apply all the changes without restarting your database. Okay, so we actually had to do this, right? So we had to do this semicolon at the end of privileges. Okay, so now our query ran and everything is fine, right? Okay, so what if you want to see that how many users are there in your database, right? So to do that, you can just run this command. So that means, so first of all, let's just understand what this command is. So we are actually looking into a table called MySQL.user, and from that MySQL.user, we are selecting 2 columns, which is user and host, right? If I just run this command, you can see 2 columns have been printed out. The first one is host and the second one is user. And here you can see we created this user, admin user, and then we remember earlier we logged it as a root user, right? So this is that user, right? So if we just want to see that how many other columns are there in this table, it might be possible that this table only contains 2 columns, but let's just see that how many columns actually are there in this table, right? So to do that, just go here and remove this and write static. So in MySQL, static means everything. So we are just asking our MariaDB, go to this table and from this table select everything, right? So let's just hit enter, and here you can see we have we will have to, I guess, maximize this to see. Okay, so we have our host, we have our user, we have passwords, we have select private, insert private, update private, so many columns we have, right? So from all this table, we just extracted two columns when we selected host and user. If I just go ahead and let's say instead of user, I extract password. So here you can see against those hosts, we got the passwords. Instead of extracting host, let's just go ahead and extract user. So we have these users, and against them we have all the passwords, right? So these first three are built-in users, right? They are present in the configuration of your MariaDB. You created this fourth user, right? So that is why password is only showing in against that user that you just created in this database. And this is not actually the password, because every time, no matter what the database you're using, when you store a password, to make it more secure, it is encrypted. So this is the encrypted form of your password, right? So that's how you can play around with your database. That's how you can install it. You can configure it, make it secure, set passwords, create databases, see users, remove databases, right? So I'll just minimize this again, and because we have done everything, so we'll just quit now, right? So it just told me okay, bye. So everything, the entire MariaDB has been closed, right? So let's just go ahead and check, and if it's running, then we can simply just stop it if we don't want our database to keep running, right? So just paste this command and replace this start with stop. First of all, let's just see if it's running. Yes, it's running. Then let's just stop this service and let's check again to see what happened. So right now you can see that your MariaDB, this database, is dead or inactive, right? So that's how you can play around, start your database, stop your database, check its status, and do all sorts of stuff, right? So in this lecture we learned that how we can install MariaDB, how can we configure it, how can we import its GPG keys, how can we make it secure, how can we set passwords, how can we log in using new admin user account. We actually also set up the user in our local host or in our database, and at the end we also saw that how we can visualize the databases, how can we create a database, how can we import columns from tables, and how can see all the users that are present in our database.